Hello, I'm Craig Jackson, and welcome to Talk Note. Today we are back with our very special guest, Godwin Louis, alto saxophonist, composer, and absolute monster, turning up the New York scene. Behind the scenes, we have my man Jaden White on camera and audio. Thank you so much for being with us. Thank you so much for being here again, Maestro. It's good to have you back.
Yeah,
This is like, it's been insane to work with you like the whole semester. I'm also like a private student of yours here at Berklee College of Music. Um, Getting to pick your mind over the horn has been an amazing experience. And I just really want to go ahead and recap on where we left off from last year, from part one. We were getting into some things concerning your next record. And then also comes to find out we have a new mutual brother, Axel Tosca. So I want to get into how you met him and all that. So actually, what's happening? What's coming up next with Global 2?
Yeah, so well, great to be here. Thank you, gentlemen.
Yeah,
Congrats on doing this. This is
thank you.
a wonderful thing, and wish you nothing but success, forward motion, and all the good stuff that comes with that. Well, with the new album, with the new global project, we're set to record in August. We had a couple of pushbacks. But thanks to the label Blue Room Music, we're looking at the first or second week of August to record. So it should be a really cool project. Global 2, focus on the Pan American experience via the African lens. So a lot of it is showing the intersectionality between the Afro-Hispanic, Afro-Francophone, Afro-Anglophone, Afro-American, and kind of show that like it's the same journey, and show a lot of like intersections through stories, fables, and sonic textures, and a lot of literature. So it's sort of like bringing everything to light, so telling those different stories we sometimes miss because, as I mentioned before, there tends to be sometimes a divide. People forget about the connection, but we've had the same journey. Some people don't believe that they're of African descent. That's fine, but those that do, it's that same thing. Our great grandparents, ancestors were taken on a boat, landed here, and spread out. So our DNA is still the same. It's just that our realities are different. Some of us ended up in places where we govern ourselves, but are they really governing themselves? You see what I'm saying? So it's the same experience. And my thing is to show that, as somebody that spent a lot of time in the African continent, to show that actually we are our own tribe too. Like the Pan-American Africans are our own tribe. Our stories are very much the same, and we all very European too, because it's in our DNA, whether it was forced or not. Right. So, in terms of Axel's been great to play with him.
Axel Tosca, man.
The first time I heard of him,
a 3-time Grammy nominee.
He's definitely a beast.
A great person. He's a funny brother, man.
Yeah,
he's hilarious.
Yeah, he is. I met him first I heard of him, I was in grad school. He had this tune called Avenida 15, you should check out. Crazy. And then he was making his mark in New York with this crew. And I was like, whoa. This is crazy. So then when I moved back to New York, we got a chance to connect through Melanie Charles. I know if you know her, she's doing her thing now. And then through Melanie, we ended up working with this other vocalist, my good friend and colleague, Pauline Jean. And then through that, I met Axel, and we started playing in my projects, and it's really an honor to have him on board.
Axel actually told me a brief story about how he had to, he went back in to re-record for you because he was like, it just wasn't what he was feeling. So being around Axel, I learned about the not pride necessarily of the music, but what's the word? It's
dedication.
the dedication, but it's just like the overall like submissiveness to the music. Like so, like he talked about how he was willing to redo the whole project for you. He said that one time. He's like, yeah, I told Godwin, I was like, I wanted to re-record. He's like, but you were like, oh, it's fine, and it was back and forth. But I got into like talking to him and just the overall passion he has for like the clean music, and also like figuring out the hustle as like for what he's done with peers like you, and then I met him through Rodney Ruckus.
Yeah.
And Rodney Ruckus is another
met
peer.
Him through me, yeah.
Right, Wait, Ruckus met Axel through you?
Yeah, for
sure. Oh,
because
wow.
We did something together with Pauline, and it was definitely with Axel.
Okay.
And so that's how, and then also through Jonathan Michelle, another bass player, another mutual friend that we have, that Rodney also met through me. We did a fundraiser in the Bay Area maybe 2-3 years ago with my band, and actually a trio I put together. I saw that Rodney lived out there in the Bay. He was living in the Bay, so I hit him up to come through, and then he met Jonathan that way, and then
wow, it's like a whole chain reaction, full circle.
Full circle indeed,
I remember also in one of our lessons, going back to what you were just talking about with like the African continent and the culture there, but the music. I remember you said our brothers here in America cannot feel. I was like, what? I was like, it's like, and then you left it there. Then you explained, but I was like, what do you mean? Wait. And then you went on. You were talking about like the 4/4 versus the 10, like the hundreds of other claves that there are, and then you introduced me to I Ching. Yeah. I went like so. How much deeper is African music in comparison to the diaspora worldwide? Like how? Because like I remember even overhearing, and this isn't like African. Let's talk about flamenco music. But I remember even hearing Wynton Marsalis talk about claves and how the one isn't where it really is. And this was like an interview I heard like years ago. And like flamenco music, and now I'm starting to see the same things in West African music. So like, what is that?
So when we talk about the diaspora, and specifically American, as in like the country, a Black American sense of music, because of imperialism, the world is sort of like led by us here, like the Black American experience. Everybody want to play gospel, everybody want to rap, everybody want to trap. So that connection to Africa is from the Congo. Literally, through New Orleans, Congo Square. So that's why I always tell you I divide this continent into 4 hubs of culture. So you have New Orleans, and then you have a region called Santiago de Cuba, where you had a lot of Africans, and that gets to be very Igbo and Yoruba, and also a lot of Congolese influence.
Santiago de Cuba,
it's the southern region of Cuba, Oriente region, as they would say. And then you have Latibonite and Haiti, and that place is special because that's still where you find some of the most authentic root ceremonies. Some people refer to it as voodoo, but it's really like root traditional belief. I feel like sometimes that create a stigma that we don't understand.
Always.
And then you also have Bahia, Salvador de Bahia in Brazil.
Okay.
And then you have other pockets that have different kind of sounds, but those are like, I would say, the most direct connection.
And it makes sense
to the African continent, because you also have Trinidad, with soca, and Jamaica with reggae and all those different places, and the Garifuna culture in Central America. But however, those places are like directly linked with the continent.
Right.
And so when we talk about specifically New Orleans and the Black American experience, Congo Square was the first place, as we all know, this is history, that we all know that the drums were allowed to play, but that specific rhythm that we are the like duple meter rhythm that we can connect with the Congo.
So therefore it has that strong one, two, that 1, 2, 3, 4.
Right.
However, when we're talking about the other identity specifically of West Africa and that triple meter vibe, that 6/8,
Right.
it's not that bottoms up kind of like boom clap like how
Right.
we hear music.
Right.
We hear like, you know, so we always hear here. This is what we were talking about.
Yeah.
That we're like, yeah, you know, our counterpoints, the people of European descent don't have rhythm.
Right.
Because they don't hear that
Right.
big foot like boom, 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 boom. Like they can't bop their
But
head
then,
on
but
1,
then
2,
you
3,
had
4.
mentioned how when they go over there though.
When they go over there, so I've taken
you
people to
saw,
like,
yeah,
you
saw
know,
like
to
a,
like to you know to different
saw the extended
ceremonies,
connection with
different
them going to one of the claves.
yeah,
over there,
and so when you get gang, the dance is this.
Right.
On the upbeat, you know, so we're so used to hear like that big bass, that big 4. So if you go gang, we're looking at it like that.
Right.
But the dance is the other way around.
It's like
gang, You know, when we start talking about the Vogon rhythm,
the Vogon.
yeah, Vogon, that's a rhythm you find in the village and the city of Togo.
Wow.
And southern, south, eastern Togo.
What's the estimate on the number of claves per region? Because I remember just going over the Ichin claves, and it was just a spreadsheet of what you explained to be long and short lines, but of course it's like those are the 3/2 claves per.
Right. So that ends up being a different kind of rhythmic, experimental thing that its roots come from more of like the Eastern African connection, and it got its name from Asia. So in Asia, a lot of that concept is used in psychology, therapeutic affairs, you know, things like that. But when we're talking about specifically of West Africa, it gets to be a different thing. You see what I'm saying? So that 3/2 concept is more like an academic thing to introduce you all from an academic standpoint, the relationship between 3 and 2, because that's what you'll find pretty much everywhere in rhythm.
Right.
3s and 2s, short and long.
Right.
And this was introduced to me by the great maestro Steve Coleman, wonderful saxophone player, also band leader, educator, philanthropist in his own right, and so yeah, that's why I always think this is a really cool thing to like share with you all. But specifically when we're talking about West Africa in terms of the number of rhythm, in Benin alone, that's where you find the old, the connection between the old Dahomey Empire.
I've been researching a lot about Benin since our last conversation.
Exactly. Like, there's a lot of I've been told by griots who are like keepers, gate holders of the music historians, that there are like over 500 rhythms over there.
Just there.
Wow. You know, with the different tribes, there's all sorts of rhythm. And then when I was in the Congo, there's even more. So when we talk about the continent, there's thousands of rhythms.
So what instruments are, besides the drum, of course? Actually, that's a great question. That's another great point I wanted to bring up. What are the harmonic instruments?
Right. That's
in Africa.
This is a great.
Then was cultivated, made into new things. Because like the oud, like that instrument going from Africa to the Middle East to what is now in Israel. Like a lot of students coming from Israel playing those instruments. I'm like, or even like the Chinese instruments, where they're coming from out of East Africa. Like how did they mold? Because like we're always talking about as Africans, we feel it. No, we here too. So I'm like, what are those instruments?
Yeah, there's a bunch. And from the Malian Empire, where we were given what's called the kora. The kora is like a harp-like instrument from that family.
Right.
And a lot of people, like for example, the great Tumani Jabate, his son Sidiki Jabate, those are legends that are playing the kora. And the kora have specific scales, like one of the tribes is called the Bambara tribe. So you have Bambara Foli, That's
Right.
a kind of like a
Right.
genre.
Okay.
And then you have like some of like that Mende sound. And the Kora have said to originate from modern day Guinea Conakry, because there's two Guinea. There's the Guinea-Bissau, which is like a Portuguese, was colonized by the Portuguese, and then you have Guinea Conakry, which was colonized by the French.
Okay.
And that's where you kind of find that instrument, but you find it a lot in Malian music. So a lot of the great Malian writers are using that, and it has kind of like a lot of that Lydian sound.
Yeah.
That
Right.
kind of
Oh, yeah.
sound. And you also find it in Senegal. So I would say like in like that Arab, that Muslim African world, you find
Right.
that. Because Senegal, Guinea, Mali have a lot more.
And the
of
Arab
that
harmonies are what
connection.
we're based on mostly in the West these days. And like, I remember our last lesson, you said, you mentioned the Eastern Ethiopian harmonies. And I was like, what? Like, what do you mean?
Chihoye, yeah, the
Like-
Chihoye is definitely, that's where a lot of that Lydian sound comes from.
Okay.
So, interestingly, I remember being in Togo and I heard a lot of that sound, but over a different kind of rhythm.
Okay.
And this is a research for anyone. And so the guy was like, it's like the Ethiopian stuff that's found in our voodoo, in our tradition. And I was like, wow, for someone that spent a lot of time, shout out to the great Ross Gershon, Mulatto Astarte. I was in a band here called the Either Orchestra.
Okay.
And this was my introduction to like the Anchihoe and Tizeta major, Tizeta minor, like all the different Ethiopian modes.
So there's modes
interestingly,
besides, like,
yeah,
Ionian vocals?
exactly, yeah. Now next lesson, I'll the last one next week, we'll go over that, yeah.
Yes, sir.
And so that was my introduction to a lot of those different modes. And they also have an instrument, I don't remember the name, but that's also harp-like that a lot of people play. When I was in the Congo, right before the pandemic, there was this flute instrument that plays exactly like the pentatonic scale. That they play, but it goes over that Bakongo rhythm, which is this rhythm that we know. That's the Bakongo rhythm.
Yeah, right. My
that's what
lady
I'm saying.
immediately started,
See, that's the rhythm we know.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. Like, when we talk about Black America, our experience here is from the Congo, the Bakongo rhythm specifically. Everything we do, whether you're trapping, yeah, we feel that. The Congo rhythm is us. But once you get to that West Africa, it's a little different.
All right.
So that's a major connection here, which is why with this project, I decided to kind of focus on the Congo, because I realized, as blacks or people of African descent in the New World, a lot of our experience deals more with the Congo, even musically. And so that's why I said, and then I realized in terms of like research and exploration, most people spend their time in West Africa. They go to Senegal, Togo, or they go to Kenya.
Right.
But man, the connection is in the Congo. But the Congo, the terrain is so hard. It's so it's heavy traveling.
Right.
So it's not. You kind of have to be used to traveling to places like that. It's real. I mean, everything is in you. It's like, it's like 3 notches up from Lagos, Nigeria, which is like a thing.
Right.
It's even like, it can be complete culture shock for folks. It's very expensive. They use the US dollar a lot there. And, there's a lot of funny business. Some people call it corruption, but I don't really know what that is, because that's kind of everywhere. And we tend to always blame the African version of it as like, oh, they're corrupt, but it's just a lot of funny business thing going on. And so, but I said I went out there and I saw a lot of instruments and a lot of rhythm, and I'm still, compiling the video. I'm supposed to do things with it, and I'm planning on going there this summer, hopefully back.
Right.
Because that was a short trip. I mean, I spent so much, for that short trip. I was like, all right, I think it's time to leave.
You have students over there.
Yeah, I do.
What's
I have a few
What's
cats.
it like working with like students over there? And like also, I actually just talked to a brother named Sam that works at Berkeley on security downstairs.
Oh yeah, Sam from Kenya.
Yeah, and so I was just talking to him about his program in Kenya. Barbara, a few doors down, she teaches like the Woodman Lab. She had presented a video to us explaining that whole program. He had Victor Wooten on it and some other faculty, but the outreach to the so I was talking about how we have like a lot of students coming into like America as music students that are from a lot of the other countries, but not the African continent. So I was like, like, what are we doing? How can we outreach to bring some of, like, to teach swing over there and bring it back over here, or them teaching us how to feel again, I guess. That's deep. That's pretty. I want to learn how to feel again. What I mean? That's crazy.
Part of my quest in Africa have been like to create this bridge where it's not only one-sided.
Right.
Because everything I hear, even from like any institution, it's always one-sided. Like, we bring them here. No. We bring our thing there, or we bring them here to learn our thing.
Right.
But there's never been like a bridge where like they can come here. This one of my favorite African groups is out of Togo, and they're called Dekoka, and the drummer, this cat, he's a trumpet player. His name, he goes by a bunch of names. Is Aklama, is his artist name, and his name is also Philip, and it's also, but his real name, traditional name, is Komala, I think, which means that he was born on Tuesday. Because in West Africa, like the Ewe people between Ghana and Togo, a lot of the names deals with like the day you were born.
Wow.
Like that, or if you like the third son, things like that.
Okay, that's amazing. Because like I'm like reading I'm always talking about the stars and astrology.
Yeah,
I'm a big science nerd, spiritual, all that. I'm always talking, and like even like my band Seventh Son. So like now that you're bringing up like people being named.
Yeah, after days of the week. That's where like your Kujos come from. Your
we just don't hear stuff like that deeply.
We just
like,
think, oh, it's Afro Kujo.
Or just to have that much of a connection to everything else outside ourselves to make us. Like the culture in America is so individual. And I was actually talking to a friend from China about the same thing, like with the American culture. She was talking about how the Chinese culture even is so toxic sometimes. When her family came over here, how it opened up a little bit, or the freedom of being able to think, just open, and it's amazing to hear about.
Right. No, I mean, it's all amazing, all interesting.
Yeah.
So being like that would be great to come here like to learn. Like they're all your age. I would say back in their 20s, maybe early 30s, late 20s, early 20s. I mean, it's just a great band overall. That there should be a bridge created where it's not just us going there to teach them, but they're coming here to show us about their culture.
Yeah.
I was out there. I always share this, and I heard a song, and I'm like, "This is Caravan." Let me see if I find it real quick. I mean, this will be great content for you. And play it for you. And I was like, wait a minute, this is Caravan.
Oh man.
And I said, we should be able to experience those things, like to hear them for ourselves.
Right.
Let me see, when would this have been? Maybe 2020 when I was there in the fall.
Yeah, the whole arrangement, man.
Yeah, and when I heard this song, I said, "Whoa, this is Caravan."
It's kind of like something similar we were talking about, like with Solar. Is it except to like the spin on that one? Just to talk about it a little bit, we took the I Ching clave and each note of each melody note of Solar, we change it so where it's like a bigger rhythmic arrangement rather than just a harmonical.
Right. Let me see. If it's... This is how I do it. Like, this man should be coming here. You think I just okay. See, we're thinking of this like that, but it's more like You see, it's different. Like we look at the Congo thing. Well, I call it Congo, but it's not. It's You would follow the drum.
Oh,
You see what I'm saying? So it's a
you
different
see, he
vibe.
caught me. I couldn't even.
It's a different vibe, but you see, we'll feel it. We just need to be introduced to it.
Right.
Once you go, you're like, oh, I get it, and we would create tunes like that.
Oh, wow.
It's a lot of sugar.
Oh, wow. Yes,
Let me see if I find
it
it.
just adds so much more color and like that sounds wild. I guess the big question would be to find the one, I guess. As long as you keep that one.
Yeah.
Keep that one, man. Like seriously.
Is this it? That's my big. And they play standards too.
Yeah, I understand it. I definitely hear.
Anyways, yeah.
I definitely hear where South America made it so. I hear it. If that's on the off the continent, I definitely hear the relation.
Yeah, there's some connections, but I still think like continental American music still have a lot of Congolese influence.
That's what I'm saying. Like I
And
definitely
South
hear where it's
America
coming
is
from.
definitely, this is west, so it's more triple meter.
Okay.
I know in Brazil, yes, they do have a strong connection with Benin.
Mm.
I mean, because you know the trade continued all through the 1890s in Brazil.
Mm.
So some people can really trace, you know, their ancestry to like
Right.
specific places over there. To you know, but for some of us, it ended so long that you know, so long ago that you know, ancestors been here for like 4 centuries now. However, I have a better perspective when I was going to the Congo. I realized that for a lot of us, for a lot of us that are Afro, that still have the Afro, a lot more melanin than others, that would mean that our ancestors came later. Because the average lifespan was like 13, 14 years. So, you understand what I'm saying? So, think about it. If your our ancestors, I mean, there's a few exceptions, but if our ancestors, if the lifespan of a slave was 13, 14 years and someone ended here in 1794,
Right.
along the line, we're going to keep it 100 real. Along the line, some young woman was raped by their master, so that completely changed the amount of melanin. Yeah. And then the next generation of that would look different. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's a different thing. But for those of us with more, that would mean that like our ancestors, were later. Yeah, like the 1800s. There's of course a few exceptions. Those that were free. Some people came here free.
Okay.
Because there's this notion that like we were all sick, but a lot of us were free. Actually, with enslaving our own people.
Yeah.
And so we kept that. They kept that kind of thing intact.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I definitely understand what you mean, like the later aspect. Cause that's a great point. Because it's like, we don't have those people that were influenced yet, as much as those who are already here on foot. Okay. Yeah.
So those that would be there longer would kind of like. So there's this thing in Brazil. I have to show you. I don't know if you've seen this very famous art. The grandmother is like a darker skinned black woman. And then the daughter gets to be mulatto, and then the grandkid actually get to be very European, and she's raising her hands up like, yes, we're like that inferiority complex.
Right.
Like, so this is outside of a thing we don't have here.
It's kind of like how families.
So by the third generation, because we think about it the other way around here, like, oh,
like being
you're mixed with black. By the third generation, you're completely. Yeah, but it's like the other way around. And the picture
was giving praise to the European.
Yeah, it's like yes, my grandkid
will praise like the more lighter third tone family members. Like you hear all the time about even like in the inner family, like you have like those head buds over the judgment of treatment, even between the family members. Like in like the mulatto complex of especially in like South America. Yeah.
I found it right away. You see it?
Let me see. I'm gonna show the camera.
Yeah, I guess we should visit it. Oh, it's a very famous art. That's depicted. All that stuff is included in global art clothes.
Oh, clothes.
Yeah, let me see.
We gonna get it to y'all. Don't worry about it.
Oh yeah. So
We might have to have that as a video edit.
Yeah, it's called Ham's Redemption. They
Okay.
done Sao de Cam.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Ham as in like the Bible. So it's just like, because you know a lot of us were taught from the Eurocentric concept of Christianity,
Right.
which is different from like the real thing.
Right.
The European concept focus on like Ham, that being cursed, you know, that kind of thing.
Right.
So this is like Ham's Redemption, and it pretty much it's by this artist by the name of Modesto Brocos, and it kind of showcased that the analysis is, you know, from emancipation, she gave birth to her mulatto daughter.
Man, I'm gonna go through with
And
my
then-
notebook later
And then the
take notes, man.
the mulatto
All this.
daughter, gets to, you know, marry someone of Eurocentric descent, therefore making the son. The term for that is quadrant, meaning like you're just a quarter,
Right.
not like 15%, like you're
Right.
15, you know. So but you know,
Right.
of you, there's a lot of people in America that are going by, you know, Eurocentric, but that are
Right.
quadrant.
Okay.
That's why now you'll see a lot of celebrities. Oh my God, I found out, you know,
Right.
I'm a quadrant. Like I'm
Yeah.
like 10%, but you know, they're,
Right.
you know, the father and Modern Family. I forgot his name. The actor. I think he's one of those. Where he found like he was like 10%
Modern Family.
African. Yeah, that show.
Oh man, I haven't watched TV in so long.
Yeah, no. So what I'm
actually-
saying is like So you know, that kind of made me realize that again a lot of us don't think about it, you know, in terms of like how long we've been here, and that helps in terms of tracing
Right.
who we are too.
Yeah.
So yeah, that, you know, man, it's
so broad. It's a lot of information.
Yeah.
I appreciate like
anytime,
this was
yeah.
actually this is a podcast, but like also these are lessons like
of course,
like to like you like brothers like you, mentors like you, and also we have something coming up with Miss Fuller, Tia Fuller.
Like I said, to Professor Fuller.
Oh yeah. And like I said, these are lessons. I'm definitely going back with Brother Jaden. We gonna get that notebook. We gonna take some notes.
Yeah,
like, for
and
real.
most importantly,
Like,
I would love to
seriously.
take you out to the continent. You know,
Man,
and
I'm
create
telling
that.
you, man.
And for real, I think you
I'm
guys
talking
would
to
really
Sam.
enjoy it.
I need to leave.
I mean, I
I've
think
been saying this
because
for a
there's
minute.
all these stigmas. True story, man. My mother took her to the continent for her first time last year. Bro, my mother's there now, 2 months. She retired in December and was like, I'm going to Africa for 2 months. This is somebody that grew up in the American continent, and y'all know how that is. They're like, I am African, you know, like I'm, you know, I'm what I am, you know, that kind of thing. And I'm like, and you know, our parents, and they're from that generation too, where they're kind of like, it's kind of like us starting to connect with it again. Because my mom, so I remember, I will never forget, we went last year, exactly a year ago. And before we left, it was like every week. So we said, Mom, my brother and I, we said, Mom, we're going to take you. And she's like, oh, my friends told me there's war, there's this. So she would send us like, I'm like, Mom, that's like a village. And it's like somebody saying like, yo, they're shooting in North Dakota.
Right.
And you're coming to the U.S. to New York. It's like,
right.
That's like,
yeah.
You wouldn't even know how to get to North Dakota if you wanted to.
Right.
Like that doesn't affect you at all.
At all.
Like if there's like, yo, there's protests in North Dakota, I'm coming to Boston. It's like, yeah, you're gonna be totally fine. Like, I mean, North Dakota is just
the country's huge.
Such a different, and so think about the continent or any of those countries.
Right.
And so the specific thing Mom is talking about, which we hear about in the news, which is like northern Nigeria, you with Boko Haram.
Mm-hmm.
I said, Mom, if we wanted to go there, like to Kara, that northern region, I said that would take us like 3 days in a car. Like we wouldn't even be allowed halfway through. You know, the police would just be like, go back to what, you know, that kind of thing. It's like you're not gonna end up there. She's like, no, but I saw in the news this and that. I'm like, okay, well, if you put on the news for like Boston or New York, I mean, you can see that they shot up Harlem.
Right.
or they shot up in the BX.
Right.
Grand Central, somebody was push up the train, you know, some
Right.
things like that.
You know.
So finally, Mom said, okay, fine, I'll go. So we go there.
Dragging her.
We go there and we get to the apartment, you know, shout out to, you know, one of my brothers literally out there. His name is Gilbert. I call him Master Gilbert. He has hotels, have a bunch of stuff in Togo. So we get to the apartment where Mom will be. So, it's 3 of us, 3-bedroom apartment. I'm like, oh, let me get the router for Wi-Fi for my brother.
Right.
And she's like, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna get somebody to get you food, somebody come. At your order, ma'am. What do you? And I was like, first I'm like, I'm gonna take you to some museum, Mom. You gotta learn your history. So I took her to this castle, waterfall, and she got to.
He said a castle.
Yeah,
Wait, time out. Now we're gonna.
Yeah. I took her to the castle.
We're gonna write that out in the video. Castle.
Yeah. I took her to the like.
Americans ain't got no castles over here. What's going on?
So to learn her history, and then so after that I took her to like this waterfall. It's like this water that I didn't drink the water.
This is in Togo, right?
This is in Togo.
Castles in Togo.
Yeah. Like with a bunch of history, and then there's this waterfall. If you drink, you'll feel better and you'll feel fine. People drink it. It's like thousands of years old. And my mother took a little thing, drank. I'm like, Mom, be careful.
Is that like that one scene in Karate Kid where Jaden Smith goes?
Yeah.
Drink from
exactly. Yeah. And so I saw that complete. Like Mom was like hooked. So that's one country. Then I took her to Benin and visited. She saw like all that stuff. Took her to the museum where they show the slave route. Right. That you always touch people. You're like, damn, my ancestors walked there, because all of us will have somebody from Benin. Right. You know, because we're a mixture of all of it. Yeah. And so she was like really touched, and I took her to somewhere where actually they commemorated me as an artist. So I was like proud to see that. And a bunch of museums. So she was like, every day, you know, I just saw Mom like looking and feeling younger. Yeah. Then we took her to Nigeria. Now, Nigeria is a very interesting place because you have duality. You can see some very poor stuff and you can see some very super luxurious stuff. Wow. And Lagos Island and Victoria Island. So she saw both. Like we drove there. She's like, oh my God, this country is. I'm like, okay, wait till she gets to Victoria. So then we went to this lounge on the rooftop. And she see like helicopters landing and like
totally didn't even expect.
Totally there.
Didn't even know.
Like, this is like America. This is like
Atlanta.
You
see what I'm saying? Even better, probably.
I was like, see, I'm like, see, Mom, that duality. If we get our stuff together, and then after that, we went to Ghana. Ghana is super modernized.
Now Ghana, on top of
that's where everybody want to go.
That's what I'm saying. All the Black Americans are flooding to Ghana after this Berkeley shit. I'm about to apply for my dual citizenship, low-key. Like seriously, just in case.
Need some jollof rice.
Need somewhere to go.
So then we took her to Ghana. She's like, whoa, we stayed at the hotel. I'm showing her, bitch. Now she's seeing infrastructure. Right. Like, see, Mom, that's Africa. She went to 4 countries. She came back every month. Mom sent me a voicemail like, you guys changed my life. I had no idea. Now their whole family and ATL are like, yo, we gotta go to nephew, how can we go? I'm like, yeah, get shot, you know? Yeah. So then this year Mom's been dying to go. She's like, I'm going for 2 months. But funny thing, when I took her to Benin, my brother, literally my bro, you know, like kinfolk like that I met. Right. Like lives in like a mansion, swimming pool, bunch of maids. So when I took her to that crib in Benin,
what?
She's like,
she was probably losing it.
$multi-million.
Probably losing it in Africa.
In Africa. Yeah. So with the pool, the maid, the big room, you know, light, and she saw people and like you know, so it was kind of like we got so. She said, I'm going back.
I gotta see some pictures. I know y'all got pictures.
Yeah, I got, and so Benin, I mean, my boy Gilbert offered me a hotel room and a club. So I have a jazz club in Togo right now.
A jazz club?
Yeah, and I'll show you the hotel. Yeah,
you own the club?
You own the club in Togo?
Yeah, it's called the Godwin Louis room. Yeah. Yeah, man, I'll show you the hotel.
I know y'all heard that, the Godwin Louis
room. So coming up soon, y'all. Coming up soon. I've been sharing that news because I'm trying to get folks out there.
You're coming up soon to the Craig Jackson room.
Hey,
play with him.
Yeah, that's amazing. So my man sent me the hotel card. That's the hotel card. You see the rooftop is named after me.
Real
I
quick,
said French.
just I'm not gonna hit the button.
You
You
know
already
what I'm
know. Yeah.
So it's open from 6 p.m. till 5 in the morning.
Whoa.
And I haven't, really been there to check it out. So my sister went. She went to see Mom, and so this is the rooftop. If you can kind of see, I guess it's dark.
Yeah.
But I have a thing of the hotel. You see,
Well, that's
this is kinda like the
nice.
vibe.
That's nice.
Yes.
It's got like that.
Somebody serving her.
That's like a rooftop LA type thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's what I'm saying. So then
LA is probably lamer than that.
Yeah.
At this point,
Yeah.
well, I'm hearing, man, I gotta go check home out, man. This is too much.
man. Let me see if I can find the actual hotel. I know I saved it somewhere, but So yeah, man. So we just.
That's amazing.
Oh, this is it.
Oh.
Oh no.
Man, some heavy. This is some heavy stuff, man. The
Yeah.
Godwin Louis room.
Yeah. And you see so I'm trying to get some folks there.
That's amazing.
We just so Mom is there until next
And
week.
you
She's
know what?
coming back.
And you know what? I've always ever since I've been playing I've been watching all these artists, you two, everybody like going off on tour. I'm like, okay, I'll go into Europe. I like Japan. Love China. I want to even go to Australia sometime. South America. When are we going to do an African tour? Nobody has an African tour.
Right.
Are you serious? 54 countries just there, waiting. 54.
You.
Man.
Yeah, this is the hotel. So
Seven Sun Tour.
So that's what Mom is for 2 months. So that's why she's not trying to. Imagine she wakes up to a massage.
I'm not trying to
She
come home
wakes
either.
up to a massage, So
She's not trying to come back
Yeah,
here.
she-
Nah, what?
Yeah. So
As soon as she comes back, she plans for the next trip.
she already planned her next trip. So, but now it's funny. So now she wants to. So she went to Senegal, which is even more like developed.
Right.
And she was like, so I've been to like 6 countries. Mom is like, I've been to 35 countries.
Wow.
So so for her it's like I've been to 5, and I haven't even been to like, cause East is when you talk about Kenya, infrastructure, it's
Right. Right.
when you get to Rwanda, all of it, and South of course is the infrastructure.
Man, that's amazing.
It's crazy.
It's so much. It's
So
so
she's
much.
hooked. I think you'll be hooked.
I know I will
You'll
be
out
hooked.
there,
I know I will be hooked, man. I'm telling you, like my first time over there, I'm telling you, I might just apply for citizenship.
Yeah.
I'm so
exactly.
set. Like like all these stories from Ghana
Yeah.
and I'll
That's why I'm
Togo.
trying to create that bridge so I can easier get you cats out there and
An African
create some
tour.
kind of create programs.
That's really been on my mind. Like,
where-
why do we not go to Africa?
where you can do
Like, man.
we gotta start investing out there, all that stuff.
Yes,
So
sir.
I'm planning a couple of trips this summer. You're in school this summer, right?
Yeah, I'm good. I've been in school all year, barely been here.
Man. Let me see. I'll think about
Yes, sir.
things we can do.
I have a passport. I was supposed to go play in Trinidad with a friend of mine, Marcus Prince and Jesus Molina,
Oh yeah.
about 3 years ago. The jazz festival in Trinidad got cut,
Yeah, I remember that.
and then like we ended up not going.
Cool.
But I had the passport ready. I was actually waiting in Dallas for my plane ticket there because I went to go visit my mom's, and then Crazy.
Everybody tune into this.
Yo,
This
Godwin, thank you so much.
You,
Maestro. Thank you so
doing your
much.
thing.
This is airing. Talk Note Podcast is airing this summer 2022. I'm so excited to share everything we've been up to. Another shout out to Jaden White, my man. Also John and Sage behind the scenes helping me out so much. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, bro.
Yes, sir.
You're doing your thing. Well, yeah, I'm gonna take you out there, man. I took my brother to Lagos.